Blood smeared across the torn first-class ticket as 17-year-old Noah Holston clutched his bleeding hand, stunned by the woman who had just accused him of fraud and slashed his skin with the very proof of his innocence. And beside him his brother Caleb froze, helpless, as security closed in, all because their clothes didn't scream wealth, all because they looked like they didn't belong. What no one around them realized in that moment was that these two boys were the sons of Benjamin Holston, the man who built Atlas Air from 3 cargo planes into one of the world's leading airlines. And the woman who humiliated them wasn't acting on a whim. She was part of something bigger, a culture that had been rotting quietly behind the polished image of luxury travel. The chaos at O'Hare International started like a misunderstanding, but by the time Benjamin arrived it had already grown into a reckoning. The airport was buzzing with its usual noise, rolling suitcases, boarding calls echoing off glass and steel, when Caleb, tall and lean in his old bomber jacket, led his brother Noah toward the first-class line. Noah, hoodie up, earbuds in, looked like every other kid trying not to draw attention, except he held an envelope their father had left them that morning, a graduation gift sealed with a note. "Proud of you both. Enjoy Paris." The tickets were real, but the gate agent, Lorraine Whitaker, didn't see them as passengers. She saw them as intruders. Her smile was professional, but her eyes narrowed like a hawk. "This line is for first class only," she said. Caleb lifted the envelope. "We know. We're on flight 327. She scanned the tickets like they were contaminated, then asked for the credit card used, demanded proof, pressed them until the line behind them started shifting impatiently. And when they stood their ground, she tore the tickets in half. The sound cracked through the terminal, and when Noah lunged to grab them, the paper sliced his hand open. His blood hit the tile, and Lorraine gasped theatrically. "Now he's attacking me." Phones were already up. Strangers were filming. Security was called. Lorraine said the tickets were fraudulent, that the boys were hostile, and the murmurs in the crowd started to sound like judgment. Then a voice cut through, low, commanding, like thunder rolling in. "What the hell is going on here?" Heads turned. Benjamin Holston, 6'2" in a charcoal suit, strode through the terminal. Some recognized his face from magazines. Others recognized his power immediately. He went straight to his sons, inspected Noah's bleeding hand, then looked up at Lorraine. "You tore their tickets?" His voice was calm, but lethal. Lorraine stammered something about protocol, about fraud prevention, but security froze when Benjamin said, "These are my sons. Any attempt to detain them becomes a legal matter you're not prepared to handle." The ripple in the terminal was instant. Gasps, whispered recognition, the weight of humiliation shifting onto Lorraine. And Benjamin didn't stop there. He called for new tickets, medical help, and then, in front of everyone, he said, "You didn't just make a mistake. You exposed a disease in this company, and I will make sure it doesn't spread." That moment didn't just go viral, it detonated. Within hours the video was everywhere, hashtags climbing, debates exploding. Some called it proof that money buys privilege, but most saw the deeper truth. Even the CEO's own kids weren't safe from a culture of quiet profiling. And Benjamin knew it wasn't about one gate agent. Behind Lorraine was Everett Sharp, a shadowy executive who spoke in phrases like brand integrity while quietly circulating lists of passengers of concern. Lorraine wasn't improvising when she stopped Caleb and Noah. She was following an unwritten rule, one that rewarded her for filtering out people who didn't fit the look of first class. And Sharp had gone further, planting irregularities in the boys' tickets, setting up the whole confrontation as a test. Lorraine thought she was following the script. Sharp was writing the play, but when the video hit the internet, the script flipped. Lorraine found herself alone, suspended, her name trending in headlines she never wanted. Sharp distanced himself instantly, whispering damage control while letting her drown. And yet, when she finally broke her silence on live TV, her confession cracked something wide open. She admitted she had judged two boys by their clothes, their age, their skin, admitted she had ripped their tickets and humiliated them. But then her voice broke as she spoke of her own son, Malcolm, a boy who once dreamed of flying but never got the chance, a boy she lost in a car accident. And when she looked into the camera and said, "Caleb, Noah, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. No one does," the nation saw not just a villain, but a broken mother who'd let her bitterness warp her judgment. The internet split, some furious, others moved to tears, but no one could look away. Meanwhile, Benjamin and his team dug deeper. They found the planted ticket irregularities, the emails about irregular profiles, the payments funneled through shell companies. And the betrayal cut closer to home when they discovered his own cousin Matthew had leaked the boys' itinerary, selling them out for a payout and a promise of power. The confrontation in Benjamin's office was quieter than the airport chaos, but just as brutal. Matthew claiming he'd been denied his place, Benjamin replying, "You gave sharp access to my children." The family tie snapped that day, and Matthew walked out no longer a Holston, just another casualty of greed. The boardroom war came next. Investors panicked, competitors circled, and Martin Calloway, the rival CEO, swooped in with an offer to buy Atlas for pennies on the dollar. It nearly worked until Caleb, not in a suit, not with prepared notes, stood before the board and said, "We're not sinking, we're in a storm. There's a difference." He quoted his late mother, "If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything." And in that moment, he shifted the room. One by one, board members pushed the merger packet aside. The vote failed by a single margin. Atlas survived, not because of contracts or lawyers, but because of dignity spoken in a room full of power. Months later, the airline was different. The Clear Skies initiative rolled out: bias training, open promotions, independent ethics committees, scholarships for kids who wanted to fly but never thought they could. A new plane gleamed on the tarmac, its livery marked with the words "dignity" in every seat. And when Benjamin spoke at the launch, with Caleb and Noah behind him, he said, "Every child deserves to board a plane without wondering if they belong." It wasn't just branding, it was a promise. Among the crowd, a woman watched quietly from the shadows. Lorraine. No job, no spotlight, just a volunteer now, working with a nonprofit to help kids like her son. She mailed Caleb and Noah a letter saying, "You don't owe me forgiveness, but I owe you the truth. Thank you for showing me grace." They kept it, not as proof of her guilt, but as proof of change. And yet, even with the new paint, new policies, and applause, the story doesn't tie itself into a neat bow. Because what started as blood on a tile floor in O'Hare raised questions bigger than Atlas Air. How many systems out there reward quiet prejudice until someone bleeds? How many times has a ticket been torn, a life redirected, without cameras watching? Caleb and Noah will always remember the day they stood in that line, not just as passengers, but as symbols of a fight that wasn't theirs but became theirs. And Benjamin, the man who built an empire in the skies, will always remember that even his fortress wasn't safe from rot when no one was looking. So here's the question that lingers, the one no press release or initiative can answer. Was justice served, or was it just patched over until the next storm hits? You tell me. Would you forgive Lorraine for what she did? Would you blame Sharp alone? Or do you think the real problem is bigger than any one person at a gate? Share your thoughts, because in stories like this, the debate isn't just background noise. It's the only way the skies ever clear.